Hey everyone, I'm here with a very important video today, which is how to really use Tesla FSD. How should you really be using it? So let's go for a drive and get started. I'll go ahead and turn it on. Now, you usually see me start my videos like this with FSD pulling out, but in real life, I usually actually start my drives by driving manually. And then I turn it on once I get to the main road. The reason for that is pulling out of the parking lot is some of the most challenging for FSD. Some of the most challenging tasks it has to do is really getting onto the road. So I like to put the car into manual and really get it on the road itself. Kind of like this. And I mean, this is a Tesla. It's a fun car to drive. It was made to be driven manually. So I get on the road, maybe have some fun, accelerate a little bit. Then you get into a traffic jam. Okay, perfect time to hand control over to the car. Take me to Target in the Peninsula Center. So this probably doesn't really get said enough, but what you see me do in the videos where I just turn it on and then it does the entire drive and then I turn it off, that's not how anybody would use this in real life. That's not how it's supposed to be used, and that's not how I use it. The only reason I'll make videos like that is purely to demonstrate that the software could do an entire drive on its own if it had to. But in reality, just because it can doesn't mean you actually use it that way. If you want to, if for some reason you're busy with something, you just don't feel like driving, then yeah, you can let it do the entire drive. But it's rarely 100% FSD, and it's rarely 100% manual for me. FSD is probably 80 to 90% of the driving or more. But it is a mix of both. And that's kind of how you should think about it. It's a cooperation. It's not really an autonomous car yet. It's FSD supervised. So don't pretend it's FSD supervised. It's FSD supervised. Do some supervising. So what does that mean? Well, you know, this is a great situation for FSD to be on. I'm at the traffic light, I'm just waiting. I don't want to have to necessarily stare at the light, wait for the green arrow, so I can just relax, do whatever, look around, and the car will wait for the arrow and do the right thing once it turns green. All right, now we got a green arrow. The car is going ahead and making a left turn, and okay, looks like we got a nice wide open road here, so I'm just going to take control manually here. I'll just do this myself. No reason why. Just because I want to. The car's fun to drive. And I'm also showing the car. I'm showing it how I do the drive. So it has an opportunity to learn from me. It's my Padawan, right? So I can show it, okay, here's how I go over the dip. Here's how I handle the stop sign. And obviously my driving is much less safe. I'm rolling the stop sign. And when you look at the system, it's going to make a full stop. But you can always give it a little accelerator push even when it's on FSD and get it to hurry up. Even if it's just driving too slow, like right now it's going 24 and a 35, I can just give it a little accelerator press and see, now it'll start driving faster. And it'll actually keep that speed if there's nothing it needs to slow down for, like the stop sign. So it's a cooperation. It's a cooperation between you and the car. The only purpose of the AI is, okay, if the car can predict how the steering wheel should be turned, if it can predict what accelerator and brake input should be given, then why do I need to give it manually? Then another thing is that I actually usually hold the wheel when I'm on FSD. This may surprise people. Of course, when I'm making the video, if I touch the wheel, then people say, well, it looks like you're driving. Even though I'm not doing anything, if I moved the wheel, then the autopilot would turn off. But I usually just rest my hand here anyway. Why? Because if I do need to take over, then I can take over really quickly. I just take over just like this. I can do whatever I need to do, show the car how to do something properly if it's not doing it properly, and then I can just hand back control over to the car. It's super, super simple. And I'll just continue to hold the wheel like this. Even though it's not nagging me, the no nagging is great, but you can still, for comfort, hold the wheel. And I find it'll actually make you feel more confident in the system. It'll make you feel more comfortable because you know that if it does something wrong, you're just a touch away from correcting it. Then you really need to practice what's called preemptive disengagement, which is to say, get to know the software, get to know its personality, get to know what it does wrong. So if you're driving it through the neighborhood, you'll notice that it has certain things that are mistakes that it'll make every time. So it's kind of deterministic, right? If you get a software build and it has a mistake one time, you can pretty much be sure that it'll make that mistake again and again. Like here, for example, flashing red lights. It often has trouble with flashing red lights. So what you as the driver need to do is actually learn to anticipate what those problems are. So spot those problems before it actually becomes an issue where other people are now waiting for me to go. What I should do is just take over and do it myself, or give it the accelerator press as I did to get it to hurry up, because I know that it has issues with this frequently. Or let's say, for example, there's a hill here and I know it always has issues on this hill for some reason. It can't really see and does something weird. Well, then I would just take over, do that hill myself, do it correctly. This gives them training data that they can use to teach the model how to do it correctly. And yeah, so you know, if let me just do this drive the way I would do it if I weren't on video. So I'd be driving manually right now. It's a wide open road. It's fun, you know, I could maybe even be having a lot of fun with it. Too much fun, maybe. And now we're in traffic again, so I just hand it back to the system. Oh, and I completely forgot I have to make a right turn. I wasn't paying attention. Good thing is FSD is paying attention. And watch how it just gets me into the right turn lane here. So a lot of times I'll, for example, be driving on the freeway, having some fun, and then I see the exits in a couple miles, and then I'll just turn on FSD and let it get off the highway and exit at the right time, and then I don't even have to worry about which exit is it, or, you know, navigating all the lane changes. It can just do it for me. All right, so it went ahead and handled the right turn for me. Now I would probably take over again. Wide open road here. And this is such a fun car to drive. I mean, Teslas were made to be driven manually. So if you're just on FSD 100% of the time, it may be cool, it may be a little bit of a novelty, but you're probably not having as much fun with your Tesla as you should. Aim for not more than 80% of your driving to be on FSD. Do at least 10 to 20% manually. A, it's fun, and B, it also gives the system training data. And you noticed how even when I'm driving manually, the system's running, it's doing things like forward collision warning. Okay, now I'm in traffic again. Traffic is boring. Driving's fun, sitting in traffic's not fun. So this is the great part. I can have fun driving, push a button, and now it's handling the boring part. It looks like there's some construction here, there's a lane merge, and that's what's caused the traffic jam here. Okay, now it looks like it's trying to change lanes, but you didn't see that the lane was closed. That wasn't really that good. Let me give it a little feedback there. And you know, you could take over and you could leave a voice note. Tried to get it over into lane that was closed for construction. So now I sent them that voice note, so now they know that there was an issue and they can take a look at that. And now I've put it back on since I'm just sitting in traffic. I'll let it handle that. So you can let the car do the boring parts and you can do the fun parts. Or you can let the car do the whole drive if you want. Or you can do the whole drive if you want, right? It's a really fun car first and just has this feature where you don't have to do the driving. It's just kind of a bonus. And for people who love to drive, who want to be in their cars all the time, it's essential. Because even people who love to drive are not going to want to sit in traffic. And if you love to drive and you spend a lot of time in your car, you're going to be in traffic a lot too. So, I mean, this thing is like the performance of a BMW M3 for less than $50,000 after the point of sale tax credit. An FSD comes free for a month. Hardware comes standard. So again, boring, slow driving. I let it handle this part. My hands are now free. I can rest them in my lap. If I've got a drink or some water, I can have water. If I need to eat, I'm in a hurry, I got some drive-through food, I can eat my McChicken or my In-N-Out burger or whatever and have my hands free. And I just generally don't have to worry about all this boring stuff that's happening. I have to supervise, of course, but the car can pretty much handle it for me. Alright, looks like it's going a little too slow, so I'm just going to give it an accelerator press to get it to hurry up. And of course I didn't need to. It still would have gotten to where it was going and stopped. But I just wanted it to go a little faster. So I gave it an accelerator press. And again, there's not really anything I can do. I can't get ahead of the traffic here. So there's really no point in me driving manually. There's nothing fun about it. There's no move I can pull to get ahead of these guys. I'm just waiting. And so that's the perfect thing that I let the car handle. So a lot of people just don't get it. Their entire sort of conceptual framework is wrong. They're just saying miles per intervention. When is it going to be FSD? We don't need the miles per intervention right now to be greater than a human. We just need it to be useful, to help us get around. In many ways, having something where you can co-pilot it is a better experience than an autonomous car today. I mean, sure, we all love the ideal of an autonomous car that's just autonomous and it's just perfect. But in the real world, there's trade-offs between speed, performance, safety, quickness, and it's really hard to strike this balance. So the self-driving cars you have today are not going to be as fast. They're often going to pull over in the wrong place. You can't really park them in your own garage or keep them with you. So there are significant downsides to self-driving cars that mean that from a practical perspective, nobody can replace their car with a self-driving car today. That's going to change in the future as the technology improves, but today there's some pretty serious downsides that make it not a viable car replacement. So this, on the other hand, you don't have those downsides. You get all the upsides of taking your own car. You can drive anywhere, but you also get the ability to not have to manually push the controls when you don't want to. And it's a cooperative effort by the car and you drive when you want to. You let the car drive when it makes more sense or when you don't want to. And you teach the car how to do things that it can't do itself. And you see, it's looking at the navigation route. It's knowing that we have to make a left in less than half a mile. And I'm not worried about it. That's really one of the great things. Especially when you're exploring a new area or you're going somewhere where you haven't really been before. It's great that it just knows the place like a local. It knows how to get around. And you just don't have to worry about it. You just have to worry about where you want to go. And it'll worry about how to get there. So, a lot of people don't realize that this is actually the most advanced self-driving system in the world right now. They go, oh, it's not a Robotaxi. Well, show me what Robotaxi can do this drive. There is no Robotaxi that can do this drive. This is the only self-driving system that'll work on these roads right now. So people go, okay, well, Waymo's miles per intervention is 18,000 on their test fleet. And for Tesla, it's, 1,000. Okay, well, you're comparing Waymo within their service area on routes they chose, right? Because you just give it a destination and they pick the best route that they can find to go there driverlessly. So if you actually apply a like for like miles, just drop it anywhere, you pick the road, not Waymo. You have it in whatever area you need to go to. In most cases, it can't handle it. You have to make sure you're making an apples to apples comparison. The thing about Tesla FSD is you can have it in your own garage, you can take it, you can try it anywhere, you can take it onto any road, you can ask it to try and handle any situation, including situations where it doesn't work well. Waymo will say, okay, well, we can't go to all these places. We're just really going to focus on the geofence here. They pick an optimal route, so really you have one of several routes that you can handle that work well. It's a much more constrained problem. So you're really saying, okay, let's compare Waymo in their sort of ideal settings. Because when they're reporting within their geofence that's been pre-mapped with the routes that they want. And then you're comparing that to somebody who has their own car and they're just taking it to some random area that it's never seen before that's not mapped and having it drive around. So where are we really talking about? Compared to San Francisco, Waymo would have a much higher level of miles traveled between interventions. No doubt about that. Although Tesla's catching up fast. But somewhere like here where they haven't expanded yet, there's no other alternative. This is the most advanced system here. And it's a very subtle distinction. If you're not technical, you might say, what are you talking about? You're crazy. Waymo's this many, Tesla's this many. Just make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Waymo will not let you do a test like this where, hey, okay, let's just give Omar the Waymo and have him take it to any road he wants and try anything. There are a lot of situations where they'll just say, destination unreachable, we're not going to go there. Or we're just not going to take that road. That road is challenging, okay, well, we're not going to drive on that road until we fix it. Now, if you can actually achieve a level of miles per intervention that's greater than Waymo in San Francisco, in their mapped area, or in Los Angeles, and you can do it on an ordinary production Tesla where millions are being made a year, then it's a game changer. You can make 4 or 5 Teslas for the cost of one Waymo. So if they're able to achieve a level of miles per intervention that's greater than what Waymo has today, they'll be able to also start offering ride-hailing services. But in the interim, users are going to have an experience where they can just drive as much as they want, and they're almost never going to see an intervention. It's going to be like a Robotaxi. It'll be very hard to tell the difference between that supervised experience and a Robotaxi, because the thing just won't mess up. It'll be so rare. So we're still in traffic. This would have been pretty boring to drive by myself, but with FSD I could just kind of talk to you guys and the car can handle it. Now I think when we get some open space, we'll maybe start to have some fun again. And man, you just got to drive one of these things. The new Model 3 Performance. BMW M3 level performance for less than the price, for less than $50,000 after the point of sale credit. Okay, good. We got some open space here. And I love these blinkers. They make it so easy. You just do one push, you got your lane change, and then you don't even have to turn it off. Oh man. This guy's ruining our fun. Why is this guy giving me a thumbs up? He's trying to slow me down. Maybe he doesn't approve of my speeding. See what I mean? I mean, how lame would it be to let FSD just slowly drive up that road when I could do it like that? So you got some options here. Acceleration and insane mode, standard chill. Ride and handling, standard sport. So they got the new adaptive suspension. So right now it's in standard, which is a more comfortable setting for the suspension. So I'm going to move that down into sport suspension. That improves the handling a little bit for high performance driving. All right, here we go. It's really nice with the turn signals on the steering wheel. Don't have to lift your hands up. You can just signal, and it's just dead easy. Why would I let FSD do this? Beautiful open road. I can do it myself. And FSD can handle it just fine. It could do it. But that's not actually how I drive my Tesla. I use FSD and I drive manually, depending on what's best. Now I hand it off to FSD, and it goes ahead and stops for me. All right, so I think I told it to take me to Target. Oh, Cybertruck. There's a lot of them popping up around the neighborhood. All right, we got the left turn arrow. And I'll just let FSD take me the rest of the way into the Target parking lot. Okay, yeah, so it's driving in the double yellow here. So I'll maybe take over. So the reason why I did that is just to kind of show it, hey, you did something wrong. Although, it wasn't that big of a deal. But it's technically illegal to drive in the double yellow. All right, so now I might take over and go find a parking spot I like. So I usually like to park far away from everybody so they don't ding my car. So, okay, I can just kind of, you know, let's say I want to park in this spot. And the car parks for me. So there you have it. What you see in my videos is not how I really use FSD. And it's not how you should use FSD. This is FSD supervised. Keyword supervised. You are a partner for the software. You and the software are partnering together to complete the drive. And you're teaching the software. You're helping it learn how to drive correctly. So it's following your example. You are the teacher, it is the student. So hopefully this is helpful to people and help them just get the most enjoyment out of their Tesla. Take care, everyone.